Good morning, lunatics. Welcome to Morning Java. Java presented, as always, by Get-Go Cafe and Market. Right now, you can get a small coffee, a hash brown, and a breakfast sandwich for $3.99.
Good deal.
You can also get 2 breakfast sandwiches for $5. Lance, some people are expecting the Pirates to maybe sell some of their players for $5.
What a segue.
So what happens? What happens? What happens if they win this week out? What happens? They go into the All-Star break on this massive winning streak. What happens?
I mostly don't think it matters. I still think Jordy Mercer is going to be gone. I still think David Freese is going to be gone. Now, what this week could determine is what they do with a player, maybe like Josh Harrison. No, I don't think the Pirates will get much for Josh Harrison, but let's say they lose most of the games this week, or they go 500 like Neil Huntington said. I think that they try to sell off Josh Harrison probably for they're not going to get much in return because of the contract, because he's not producing. Yeah, we talked about that the other day. Because of the contract, he's not producing, but there is a very cheap buyout at the end of the season, so there might be some interest there. Corey Dickerson, I think this week could determine what they do with him, which I think would be a shame. I don't think it would be wise to trade him.
People have written Gregory Polanco off the map, and we need to move Polanco, keep Dickerson, but man, he's one of the hottest players in baseball right now.
Yeah, Polanco's hitting, Marte's starting to show signs of coming around. You still have Austin Meadows, which they're going to have to make a decision on him if they do keep Dickerson. What do you do with Meadows? But anyways, and Francisco Cervelli is another one that, if you're still contending, if you win out, you can't afford to really trade a starting catcher because then you don't have a backup to Elias Diaz. So, again, it might not matter that much, but again, I still think there is something at stake this week.
Yep. Lance, you throw out a lot of names, guys that might stay, guys that might move, guys that need more opportunities. What happens with Jordy Mercer?
Well, I think he's gone anyways. They could play as well as anything. I still think that there's going to be a team that needs a guy who could play shortstop and, hey, maybe even some second base. Jordy could maybe be a utility guy for a contender. In the Pirates, it's the one position, one of three positions, because I got to throw the left field and catcher, that they do have a natural replacement. They have Kevin Newman in AAA, who hasn't really slumped at all this season, and this is his first full season there. So that is encouraging. He's been able to kind of navigate. He's still batting over 300. He scored over 50 runs in the first half. He was an all-star, even though that doesn't really mean anything in AAA. And they kind of have to see what they have in him, Matt, because they have Cole Tucker at AA. They do have Kevin Kramer. They've got some infield prospects, Brian Hayes, that are going to be pushing their way to the major leagues. It's time to figure out what you have in Kevin Newman. And Jordy Mercer's not producing at all at the plate the last 3-4 weeks. So, again, I don't know how much you lose because the defense hasn't been that good this season either.
No, Lance, at the beginning of the season, though, in Florida, you weren't that high on Kevin Newman.
I know, I'm still not.
When we talk.
I still think long-term he's a utility guy, but you have to give him the chance. You have to see what you have in him because, hey, I've been wrong before, Matt. I don't know everything. I don't know a lot, but I think that I saw him play at Indianapolis when they played in Columbus. He can hit. He's Jordy Mercer. That's the one comparison I keep coming back to. I think you're going to look at an OPS below 700. He's going to be a capable defender, but not a Gold Glove winner. But again, I think Cole Tucker has the ceiling. With Jordy gone anyways, you got to know what you have there. And Max Moroff's not going to be the starter. Sorry.
Lance, Felipe Rivero is an all-star. Vasquez. Sorry.
Right.
I heard fans yelling Rivero all day at the ballpark.
I still catch myself writing it sometimes. So
Felipe Vasquez, he's an all-star.
Yeah.
We talked about that. Who should be an all-star?
I think Francisco Cervelli should be an all-star. I wasn't surprised when Buster Posey isn't going to play in the game. He was obviously selected. He was instead replaced by Yadier Molina. Now, Molina missed so much time that I don't necessarily agree with the selection. I mean, he was out much longer than Cervelli was. And
and that's not the name that you thought was
and I get it. Cervelli's production really dropped after the first 6 weeks of the season, but he's still on-base percentage leads all National League catchers. His OPS ranks second behind Real Muto of the Marlins.
Who's up here and then
and he's tied for the league lead in catching stolen base stealers at second base, 11. So that's a real number. He's been much better behind the plate. I think he deserves it. But the thing is, Matt, that even when Posey got pulled from the game, the Pirates don't deserve 2 All-Stars. They don't. They're not a good enough baseball team.
What about the guy who hasn't stopped 11 stolen bases? What about the guy who's stolen 22 stolen bases?
I agree with that one,
missed a number of games, batting in the 270s now. I mean, Starling Marte has 10 home runs on the season.
Yeah.
He's stealing bases. He's getting on base.
And if he has a strong second half, I think he will be in consideration for possibly the Gold Glove, although he was kind of rough the first couple weeks of the season because he was still getting acclimated to center field. He's their best player. There's no question about it. He has the most upside. I think that you could really argue for him over Dickerson. I mean, his WAR is the 4th highest among National League center fielders.
I think that's probably my argument.
Yeah, the base steals, I mean, just the intangibles. He would be an exciting player to have the All-Star game. It's just that the way that the process is, and even Corey Dickerson kind of called out, the whole process the other day, is that, you have the fan ballots, you have paper ballots for players, and players don't know names of other guys in different divisions, the commissioner's office, the final vote. They really need to rethink this in the next CBA, because then you get to the point where, okay, Felipe Vasquez is put in only because he's a reliever, and now when guys drop out of the game, again, the Pirates don't deserve 2 All-Stars, and it leaves 2 to maybe 3 guys who might actually deserve consideration.
We heard that coming from Florida, too, where Chris Archer is just tearing the process apart because Blake Snell is left off. And he's got top 3 stats in every major pitching category.
Leads AL and ERA. Really good pitcher. And again, he plays for the Rays. And the Rays aren't going to get 2 All-Stars if he is a replacement. And it's just a shame the way that, the All-Star game is structured. Before, the managers used to pick the reserves, which I liked more because they're more informed. But now you got players who, again, even they admit that they're not informed, and you got the commissioner's office. Well, who in the commissioner's office is picking it? I don't know, but the Pirates have some arguments there with 2 players. Clint Hurdle was put in a pretty difficult position, I would say, Matt, with the roster he was handed. The bullpen, we kind of knew that. I mean, there was some upside there, but it was a pretty big gamble. The starting rotation was going to be what it was, inexperienced. But you look at some of the players who've regressed, and I'm thinking Josh Bell, and it makes you wonder who's at fault here. And you can blame drafting or player development throughout the system as much as you want, but Josh Bell got to the major leagues and was ready to hit major league pitching. But the coaching staff in place has not been able to have him find an answer to the different ways he's being pitched, to the shifting they're doing. And he's just one example. You look at
and is he out-coaching himself, and are they not doing enough of, man, you're hitting the ball, just keep doing what you're doing.
The slumps have been too long for some guys. I'm thinking Starling Marte, Francisco Cervelli, Gregory Polanco. They still can't really find an answer for what's ailed him, a consistent answer. I mean, it seems like he'll find something, he reverts back to bad habits. So what say you about how the job that this coaching staff has done, including Clint Hurdle?
I mean, we talked, last week, the big mistake to me is the tie-on pool, but that's not coaching and developing players. That's an in-game managerial mistake.
And there have been some of those, yeah.
I don't have as many criticisms of Clint Hurdle in the way that the team is being managed on the field. Criticisms of the team are obvious, where Josh Bell is like, who is Josh Bell?
Yeah.
I can see it, and I mean, it comes across in photos. The guy hardly smiles anymore in the dugout. Every time you guys might not notice because I only share pictures of him smiling because it's a beautiful smile. But I mean, it's a totally different feel. There's like a lack of confidence that was there at the beginning of the year. Might not have been there with Josh Bell, but it was there with the rest of the team, and it's a confidence that was there through the winning streaks and everything last season, even when we knew that the team wasn't really going to be competing.
Yeah, you look at, people are blaming Ray Series, and I get it. I still think he's done an okay job. Some guys have regressed. Trevor Williams, I think, just is what he is. He's not going to live up to some of the numbers that he put up the first couple weeks of the season. You look at the walks, it was pretty obvious what was going to happen. I think that you look at the hitting coaches, what they're doing, how they're teaching these players, sometimes the message just doesn't sink in after so long. I think that the Pirates need to take a look at this. I think Clint Hurdle's done fine. I'll start with that. There are some things that you wonder, I don't know about that one, but that's with almost every manager in baseball. It's so easy to question managers. But I look at the coaching, and it's time to wonder, is it time to make a change?
Is it time to maybe not send Corey Dickerson from third base on a ball hit to the third baseman?
They've done that twice this year.
Screaming, go, 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 go.
Jordy Mercer was thrown out in a very similar play, I believe in April, and it cost the Pirates a loss. So something they got to take a hard look at, because I don't think Hurdle, I don't think Huntington, and I don't think Coonley are going anywhere, but it's time to think, okay, how do we better develop these players? Because there is talent on this roster, as much as people want to just say that they're not good enough.